Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/Pettyrevenge. A customer abused our support staff, so I let her know that she wasn't as anonymous as she thought she was. Several years ago, I worked the late shift as an online customer support agent for a women's clothing company. The other CSAS and I were constantly mistreated by crappy customers, and our managers did absolutely nothing to support us. The company valued its customers so much that the rules for dealing with them were disgustingly lax. For example, this one guy would call in obviously masturbating, but we weren't allowed to hang up on him because he never actually said he was. We had a 3-strike policy where a customer could say pretty much anything they wanted to 3 times before they were disconnected and banned. But we also had a 1-day turnover policy where if a customer was cut off for inappropriate behavior, the ban was reset the next day. So someone could come in, tell you that you're a bad woman 3 times, get kicked off, and then come and do it again the next day. The entire time I worked there, I never saw a single person get permanently banned. Not even the masturbating guy. I eventually ended up quitting specifically because a customer harassed me to the point of me crying, and my manager's response was that I could have an unpaid 10-minute break now instead of my 15-minute break later. Yeah. One of the worst customers was this woman we'll call Kathy. This woman would enter our CSA chats around midnight. Drunk, she admitted to this. She would ask questions like, "What jeans do you think go with this top?" While the CSA answered, Kathy would say things like, "Wow, this is taking so long. Imagine working a minimum wage job at midnight. Bet you want to kill yourself." Warning #1. The next time, it would get a little worse. "Wow, you're such a loser. Have you ever thought about killing yourself? I would if I was you." Warning #2. The last time each night, it would be something like, "I hope you die. You're so sad. You should kill yourself." At that point, we'd let her know we could no longer help her, and we'd disconnect her. And then she'd pop back in chat within a few days and the whole thing would start over. She always said the same kinds of things. She clearly knew she could say 3 separate terrible things to us. Our managers never helped or stepped in. I once looked this woman up. I wanted to know who she was. To my surprise, I found out that she was a therapist. She had her own practice. I was baffled. What she did was a horrible, cruel, unkind thing. I couldn't believe a therapist would do this. I later quit working at the company. I waited a few weeks, and then I made a phone call to Kathy's practice. I spoke to Kathy. I told her I was seeking therapy. During our intake call, she asked me what kind of issues I was facing. "Well," I said, "I do this really weird, psychotic thing a few nights a week. I get really drunk, and I start a chat with minimum wage customer support agents, and I tell them multiple times that they should kill themselves. That's so crazy, right?" She made a tiny noise. A moment passed. The call disconnected. My friends at the company said that she never messaged them again. Next story. "You want to keep driving through my property? I'll make it so you can't drive." A few years ago, my partner and I purchased a block of land that we were planning on leveling and building our forever home on, but due to rising building costs we have, unfortunately, had to hold off building at this point and have been utilizing the space as a dog-run chill point as we have both ocean and mountain views. About 6 months ago, we started to notice tire tracks running through our property, from one side all the way to the other. Always the same path taken, so we now have 2 beautiful, deep tire tracks on our property. Awesome. No worries, we popped up a fence to deter the people from driving through. Yep, they drove through the fence. We would put it back up, and the very next time we would go out there, the fence was driven through again. At this point, this has been going on for about 6 months, and during that time we decided to stop mowing the lawn, hopefully make it a bit more challenging for them to drive through. Nope, continues to drive through. No worries, we'll just keep it growing. Love the look plus bonus points for not having to worry about maintenance. The other great thing about long grass is you can hide all kinds of things there. And since it's our property that we're just leaving bare, we can obviously start storing some goods on there. like metal star pickets. They also sit in the ground on just the right angle to puncture your radiator if you try to drive through it without knowing it's there. The last time I visited our property, there was some nicely bent star pickets strewn about, some that had been snapped clean and a few that had very clearly been thrown in anger. Turns out, tow trucks make big grooves in grass. Next story. My gross dad started dating a girl younger than me, so I started dating a guy older than him. See how he likes it. My dad, 57M, started dating Becky, 25F, 4 months ago. For reference, I am a 26-year-old and my dad and mom to note. She is 54, divorced when I was 24 2 years ago. And this is his first relationship to my knowledge since mom and dad separated. My dad has become the proverbial rich man dating young bimbo upgrade douchebag, and it's made my mom feel like yesterday's trash. Him and Becky have such an obvious transactional relationship that it's been making me question how he sees women. Like, what? Was he checking out my friends growing up? Is that something I have to worry about now? F you. I've tried expressing to him that their relationship makes me uncomfortable for every obvious reason, but he won't listen, and I'm tired of his blatant disrespect and dismissal of my feelings. So, if he sees no issue with it, then I guess neither do I. This weekend was Becky's birthday, and my dad threw a massive garden party for it with her bimbo friends plus his friends and his business partners. All I'm sure so he could try and get his creepy buddies set up with her gold-digging friends. But you know what? Since that was the vibe, why wouldn't I join in on the fun? So what did I do? I found myself an older man and decided to bring him as my +1. How old is he? He's 62, so let's just call him All Joe. Only fitting if his girlfriend is younger than me, that my new boyfriend be older than him. So the party starts. I'm on my best behavior with him and all his friends, acting like I supported all when I leave to get my new guy because he just arrived. It was honestly art coming back up to him and all his friends sitting together at the main table. The birthday girl basically hanging all over him. To introduce them all to my old boyfriend, wish I took a photo of their faces. What's wrong, Dad? You don't look so good, Becky. You should get his heart medication. This party might be too taxing on him. And then I sat on old Joe's lap. I made sure to be as shameless as his new girlfriend. And yes, I felt disgusting doing it. But it was worth it to watch my dad basically throw Becky off of him, which ruined her special day. I cannot express how satisfying it was to watch him fume from across the table. But what was he going to say? And the best part? One of his partners knew old Joe. They were golf buddies. Ha ha ha. And before he could say anything to me, I made my exit with Aljo because he was taking me on a private boat ride, and we didn't want to miss our port departure. And now he's calling me non-stop, and I just keep sending him to voicemail. Though, I did text him about what medication he takes so I could recommend the brand to Aljo. At this point, I don't care how this affects our relationship because I am disgusted with him and his choices. I am satisfied with the payback, and I hope he likes the taste of his own medicine. Edit. To anyone asking about All Joe and claiming that I effed myself over in this process. 1. I never slept with him. I ditched him after we left the party. 2. He was in on the whole thing, but only because he thought it was kink-related and that he would be getting action afterwards, which was never the case. Yes, I did things I'm not proud of. I took advantage of the guy, but he thought he was going to be taking advantage of me, thinking I was an easy target because I had daddy issues. So I don't feel bad about that or for him. I only slightly bad for myself because I sat on his lap. 3. I dig why any of you are concerned over this guy. He was a creep. He willingly came to a party where he presumably knew no one there because though me pissing my dad off was part of a king game, he was weird. And in my opinion, I effed over 2 gross old men that day, so I pat myself on the back. 4. Sorry that I don't like the idea of my dad treating another human being as a sexual object and trying to throw that back in his face by making myself into that objectified person. And I have that opinion of their relationship because I'm watching it unfold in real time. If you saw them together, you'd understand where I'm coming from. He is handsy with her in public places and in front of me. And yes, she has a choice in this, but to play into that dynamic is also weird. And I feel bad that she's become so complacent in her own exploitation. That's sad. But if he wants to be with someone younger in a transactional relationship, clearly I can't stop him. But is it really so much to ask at his grown age to have some respect for your daughter and keep that crap out of my face and out of my life? I don't think so, but I guess that's just me. Next story. My mom passed without a will and her husband kept all the inheritance from my grandpa, so I messaged everyone he knows and told them. My mom passed away last year, the day before my birthday, after over 5 months of suffering. She didn't know how bad she was, and then it was too late to make a will. She even mentioned this to me the last time I saw her, a couple of weeks before she passed. She apologized to me, and even said that since her husband was getting it, I probably wouldn't see a penny of it. Because of the state she passed and all the inheritance went to her husband. I was on good terms with him, and he agreed to share half of it with me, to my surprise. It was nice to know I could trust him, and he was the only thing left I had that was connected to my mother. All of my other family has passed away, so I'm all on my own. After many months of going back and forth with him and trying to figure out when he would send me the money, I realized he was lying to me. He kept giving me excuses and stories about how he'd send it to me tomorrow, next week, next month. It never stopped. At one point he told me he had a relative in Europe that left him $1 million, and if I could just wait until he got that, he would double what he told me he would give me. Finally, I had enough of being jerked around, and I told him I thought he was lying. He blocked my number. There was nothing I could do. Or was there? It's not much. But I realized that while I could not see his friends list on FB, I could see all his posts where his friends commented. I could see all the birthday wishes left on his profile. So I went to all of those people and sent them a carefully crafted message about what happened and how much money he got. The thing about my mom's husband is that their whole relationship, he was dealing with issues his brother caused when their father passed, and the brother stole the power of attorney and stole all of the inheritance. All of his friends and family have been hearing stories about how crap his brother is and how he was going to pay. Now this man is doing to me what his brother did to him. Even if his friends don't care about him being a bad person, maybe they would be interested in knowing how much money he got. I've heard the stories about people winning the lottery and how all their friends and family turned on them. I'm hoping he will get some crap from some people, and even more people contacting him with their hands out. I hope he ends up with no one on his side, so he'll know how I feel being on my own. Next story. My boss fired me, so I took his master's and PhD title. I had a rich boss once that was only rich because of the wealth from his grandparents. Guy was a complete and utter moron. He made nonsensical financial decisions and burned through hundreds of thousands of dollars in completely avoidable mistakes. But because he had money from his ancestors, he just shrugged of these losses and continued. He had also only but the faintest idea about his company or how to lead or keep employees. I was basically keeping the company together. As such, I was the naysayer that blocked 90% of his stupid plans and decisions. Due to my negativity, I was fired. The guy was also arrogant as hell because he had a master's and PhD in economics. No way in hell can this guy have a master's, said he's so damn stupid. So I searched for his master's and PhD thesis, went to the university library, and what a surprise, on the second page of his master thesis found a text passage without citation. After like 40 minutes I found another 10 passages he copied without citation. I spent only some 20 minutes examining his PhD thesis and found already 2 cases. I made pictures of the text passages he copied and the books from where he took them and wrote an anonymous email to the university. A year later, he lost both his master's and PhD because of his plagiarism. I know this from people that still work with him because he exploded the university just thanked me, but told me they can't provide further info due to data protection. So either he had a ghostwriter write it for him who didn't care, or he just copied and thought he would never be caught. He wrote both in the 80s. Chances are many masters and PhD theses from these times are plagiarized because there were less possibilities to check. After all, imagine it's 1985 and you are at the University of Chicago, and during a trip to Miami you visit the library and write of a thesis there. If you change the title, there is almost a zero chance that you will ever be caught. So if you have stupid bosses people around you with a degree that are older and did you wrong, it might be worth your time to check their thesis. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel R Posts.